Hi, my name is Nicolas, and I've been working at Ruche Qui Dit Oui for more than 4 years now. Okay, and I will talk about tool automation and how we have improved the deployment process in Ruche Qui Dit Oui, and you will see. There's a lot of things in common with what Vincent just showed you, but it's a bit different. Ruche Qui Dit Oui, for those who don't know, is it's an app that helps you to connect to local farmers so you can buy fresh products. So you order online and you get your products in the real life. So it's a great app. You can check it out. When I first joined the project, it was, yep, I'm just picking the front of the mic. I first joined the project 4 years ago and we had no test and we had a lot of bugs. It was a nightmare, but I'm sure you know what it's about. A bit later, so 2 years ago, we had 10 people in the team, and we were pushing code updates bi-monthly. We used to package a lot of feature in a big release. So actually, we had a lot of bugs, and we were running database migration in an unsafe way, which means that you could still hit the web server while we were doing the migration and you could have an error. So that was a lot of fun. But then our CEO just told us, you stop guys, please stop doing this. Stop pushing updates and stop deploying. It's safer for our users, otherwise they're angry and you have to wait next month. Maybe you can deploy 3 or 4 times a year. And we were not very confident with this way of doing, so we decided to do it the opposite way and to deploy tiny releases every day. And today that's what we are doing. We are 20 people in the tech team and we deploy about 10 times a day, but very tiny releases. And so we have rare bugs, if any, and we run the database changes in a safe way. So it's still compatible with server, the web server serving the requests. So we could add a column or add a table and it won't make anything bad happen. So before it was twice a month and now we release every day. So we had to speed up everything. We had to speed up the dev workspace setup, the review, tests, how we tag and how we deploy. So I'll just go through all these things and show you what we did. About the developer setup, before it was really boring. We had to go through a long README, install things manually, like doing some composer install or npm install, or maybe bootstrap vagrant, and it would take 5 minutes to load. And at the end, if you wanted to test our change on production data, we would import a huge SQL dump on our machine, and then our CPU would burn for 13 minutes just to load the database. And then we'll try to run migrations and it failed and we would have to reload the same dump over and over. So we've spent too much time doing this. Today we have moved every project in Docker Compose. So we have a YAML file for every project and we just run Docker Compose up and you're done. So that's great, a great improvement. And we have a nice tool that we have developed ourselves, which helps us to switch the database to a remote dump, actually. So we just run this command, switch DB on demand, and then we have a fresh dump available with production data. And it's like instant. You don't have to wait. We have Mark at LaRuche who already did a brown back lunch here to show what we've done with Docker to achieve that. But basically, it's it's a daily dump, production dump that is imported on a Btrfs volume on a remote server. So since you have copy and write, it's instant to generate new snapshots, and it's great. So with the setup, you can really prototype or hack a new feature very quickly or fix a bug. Then you have to review your code and let your peer review. And before we had huge pull requests with a huge diff, like more than 40 files changed. So you cannot review such a PR and without missing a bug. You always miss bugs with huge diffs. And you end up with poor reviews like, oh, there is an empty line here, oh, you miss a comma here, and you cannot focus on the important things. Or maybe you can, but it demands a lot of energy. So today we ship very tiny changes. So we have smaller pull requests, and the diff is between 5 and 20 files. And we achieve this because we use feature flags. So I won't talk a lot about feature flags, but it's what helped us to ship very small part of code and not full features. And we can now focus on the real content and design, and we don't lose time with useless comments that the linter could do at your place. So we have this Jenkins jobs coding standard here that will make sure the code is has no empty lines and such things. So it just runs the linter. And we also have another job for checking that our dependencies are not outdated and have no security breach. So this is a security checker that you see at the top of the list. So actually everything the continuous integration server can do for you, so let it do it and focus on the human things. So more about testing. At the very beginning, we had no test, and then we have set up a Jenkins server. We still have Jenkins, but instead of a single executor, we have now master slaves and many executors. They will all share some cache, like for vendors or libraries, so you don't have to download every time. They mount everything in RAMFS, so it's quite quick now. And we use Amazon Web Services, so we can pop new instances and new executors when we need. So this is the tool side, but we also had to split our test suite. Before we had just one test suite. We had just one. Now we have 5, but we have just one big test suite that would take like 45 minutes to execute, sometimes more. And since we had only one executor, we would have a huge queue of jobs, and sometimes we had to wait like 3 hours to see a job executed. So we hacked it by running the jobs locally, and we would merge even if it's red on the CI, so it was a mess. So right now we have feedback in less than 10 minutes, and we use Grafana to monitor the build duration. This is a snapshot of a screenshot of Grafana and our continuous integration server. So you can see the different jobs here. They take, yeah, 10 minutes is here. So the average is 10 minutes. And you can see if we miss some executors here in red, then we will pop new servers. That's pretty nice. For now, it's enough. That's great to monitor build time because you can test things. This was 1 month ago, and we discovered that we were like running the tests on the CI server with the debug mode on. If you're running Symfony, you know that debug mode is very verbose and does a lot of stuff that you don't really want. So we just turned it off, and we gained It's something like here 5 minutes. So it was a pretty good improvement. Tagging. Um, it's all related to the way we used to pack features together to release a big update. Uh, and now we do things differently. So we changed our GitHub flow, our version control system flow. We were using Git flow, which has a master branch, and we had a branch for the next release, and we had another branch for development. And every developer would fork the development branch, add features, merge back into the development branch, merge back into the release branch, and we spent hours knowing what commit should be cherry picked and what should be the changelog, and if we could release this commit or this other. And I've got a screenshot of the release day in 2013 where Kim and I are just trying to figure out what could be shipped. So for you who are not French speakers, we're saying like, okay, I'm just tagging and deploying, but are you not deploying the other API project? Well, I don't know. I've got to check. What do you think? I think we should wait for this other guy because he knows what's inside. And you think I can still deploy and say, oh, I don't know, maybe it's safe. Wait, maybe I've got something inside for it. It was a mess. The next year in 2014, you see me on Slack saying, wow, we've got a lot of code since the previous release, and that would be nice to ship it. So what do you think, guys? Should we ship it today, tomorrow, never? I tried to cherry pick commits, but I didn't manage. Like I've spent maybe half a day trying to fix things. Now we're done. We just have a master branch. We fork this branch. We add a few commits, not a lot. We do a small pull request, and we just use GitHub to merge, and then it goes to production. So really changed our life. I think that's the most important things we did to improve our process. And we don't have any changelog anymore. So we just use git log and list the commit history, and it's a nice changelog if you can write good commit messages. Deploying. So before, when we wanted to deploy, anyone could deploy. If you had an SSH key, then you could connect to the server and you could run the deployment script manually. So you just have to connect, change directory, launch a screen so maybe your colleagues can see what you're doing, deploy to sandbox or pre-production, wait for the deployment to complete, test your changes, then deploy to production. So boring. And now we just don't do anything. Actually, when we tag master, and you don't have to do anything, you've got a bot now that will just check any new tag and deploy to production. So when you tag, you have this little message saying, okay, the next tag will be deployed to sandbox and production in a few minutes. Just wait for the notification in Slack. And the bot, actually, it's just a dumb bash script that we wrote ourselves, and it's in Contab. So here you can see me on Slack. You've got the tag notification. So that's when I run create new tag script. And it was 4:45 p.m. And then you've got the bot that discovered the new tag, waited for the test suite to be green, and then decided to deploy in sandbox and later in production. And this is these are two different projects. We have API and admin. And it was done in less than 15 minutes after the tag. So you've got your pull request, you merge, you tag, and 15 minutes later, it's in production. And we have this nice tool from the Guardian, and I love the name. And it's for is my pull request out? So it just posts on GitHub to tell you, hey, I've seen this pull request on production right now, and it's helpful to know if your feature has been released or not. And you see we've got between 15 and 20 minutes between the time you tag and the time it's in production. So that's it. A few links. The presentation is not online yet, but I will. I just posted a Twitter to say it's online. These are the links about what we did with Docker. The GitHub flow is my pull request out, and safe operation if you're running PostgreSQL like us, and you want to allow concurrent changes of the database without impacting the production. If you've got any questions. Sorry, really? Yes. Yeah.
Hi, I got a question about the migration. So, how do you do the migration without downtime?
So before we had just one single step. We had to shut down the server, run the migration, and then turn on the server again. Now we split the migrations into several steps. So for example, we will just add a column, a new column, and it's safe. You can add a new column in a big table, and you don't have to turn off the prod. We add a column, but we don't ship the code that declares the column. Okay, so that's safe. Then you have another update that will just ship the code to say, hey, this is a new column, and you can start writing in there. But you still populate the old columns. Let's say you want to change a column. You cannot just drop the column and create a new one. You have to duplicate the column, write in both columns, then make sure you import the history, set the correct constraints, and then you can drop the other one. So we have like 10 steps that require 10 updates, but we never need to have a scheduled downtime. Don't know if it's clear enough, but you can go with tiny steps that never require your server to be down. But it requires to duplicate database objects, maybe tables or columns, and write in both at the same time. So it's a bit more work. Yep.
You talked about automatic security testing. What tools do you use to do that?
So this one was from our API, which is powered by Symfony 2. And we have this security checker provided by Sensor Labs. So it's a official framework security tool, and it will parse the composer JSON file, check your dependencies, and make sure they're not outdated.
With 20 developers and 10 release a day, what tool do you use to manage human interaction to make sure that work at the same time on the same things and cross paths on developments, basically?
We're 20 developers, but we're split into 5 teams, 4 or 5 teams. So we've got small teams. Each team is working on a separate project. and we just use Slack to discuss. That's it. We have meetings, like weekly meetings to synchronize. That's it.
You mentioned that there are dumps, production dumps available for devs. Do you anonymize them in any way? And if so, how?
Sure. We just import the dump on a remote server, and then we run a SQL script that would clear out all the data we want to anonymize. Like we reset all passwords and maybe change the names, emails, things like that.
How do you perform a rollback? I'm talking about rollback, including changes to the database model. Do you have something automated for that?
So no, we never roll back. We always move forward, and we never had to roll back database migration since it never happened actually. So no rollback, sorry.